Hello, everyone. Joseph Eisman here. Welcome to the podcast Society and Stuff with Joseph Eisman and to another episode. I hear you listeners out there about which topic that should be brought up, and the topic that got the most votes is the school system. So on today's episode, we will be discussing about how the system works. We will probably get a bit more involved in the education system in general. How is it in different schools in general? That is why we have two guests. The first one is a coach, a businesswoman, and an entrepreneur. She helps preschools, elementary schools, and municipalities to create a stress-free environment by minimizing sick leaves and by creating a happy and healthy workplace so that staff and leaders can come to work to create safe environments for children. The second one is a scientist, a passionate community and youth worker, and a researcher. She aimed to combine knowledge in genetic engineering, immunology, and oncology, and contribute to novel cancer therapy development. She is a humanitarian worker who grew up in a post-war community, actively advocating conflict resolution, reconciliation, and peacebuilding in communities. So I say welcome to Darina Schartman and Amina Agović. So if we begin with Darina. Hello, Darina. How are you?
Hello, I am fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How does it feel being here?
It's exciting.
Exciting, yeah. Have you been on a podcast before?
No, actually, it's my first time.
Oh, then this will be very exciting for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And hello, Amina. How are you?
Hi, Joseph. Hi, Darina. I'm very good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How does it feel being here?
Super exciting, but
yeah,
we will see.
We'll see. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be good, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. Very good. Great. So now, Amina, I take it that you made a report about the schools in your community and how children are getting treated there. Am I right?
Yeah, actually, I am quite a lot working now on assessing the situation in Bosnia, which is a country where I come from. And yeah, there is a very interesting educational system that has been developed to kind of prevent further conflict in the country after the war, but it resulted in even more separation. So this is something I wanted to, tell the listeners about.
Yeah. I thought that we can begin discussing about that and how it affects everyone involved, because it is a very important matter. No matter who you are or where you come from, discrimination is not okay in any form. So if you could shed a light to the listeners out there about your project and your work, what made you start?
Yeah, well, actually, I grew up in Bosnia and Herzegovina, where during the 90s there was a war that resulted in really terrible torture, trauma during and unfortunately even after the war, and mass migrations outside, refugee crisis. And unfortunately, another refugee crisis started again from Bosnia, which we call popularly a brain drain, or very educated people are actually leaving the country, finding a little bit better future. But one of the reasons why this is actually happening right now is that the educational system is not modernizing, it's not changing, and unfortunately, it's serving additional separation between people. So children who are born after the war or children of returnees in smaller cities, they are, I would say, victims of the education system that is popularly known, or officially even known, as two schools under one roof. And it's actually interesting how the system is built to separate children based on their ethnic origin or ethnic identities. So what happened is that schools are built as one building, but children who are of Croat or Bosnian origin, they are separated in the school. They have different teachers, they have different curriculum, they have different entrance to the school, they are separated in the backyard, playground, everywhere. Or they are going to school in different shifts. And these schools, unfortunately, exist on both primary and high school level. And there is 56 schools like these in Bosnia. And they are existing for, I think, like almost 20 years now. And not much has been done to shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is the report that you made. It is very interesting. I have it here right in front of me, and you also interviewed a couple of pupils on the school, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, actually, the report that you have right now is done by OSCE mission in Bosnia. So they did this this interviewing part. But it is true that I had an opportunity to also discuss this system with teachers, actually, from those schools for the reference on one of the projects that I'm planning to do in the future. Yeah, but what is actually very interesting that a lot of children, teachers, and parents are against the system, and there has been several attempts to shut down these schools. That actually the initiation was by children in the schools, and one of them was closed in, I think, 2010. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, one of 56 was only closed.
One of 57. 56 remain.
Oh my goodness. Mm.
Wow. Well, what are your thoughts about this, Darina? Have you heard something quite like this?
No, I'm quite shocked. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. How is it? And you said it was 20, it's already 20 years.
Yeah, something like that. I think, yeah.
But
absolutely, something like
sorry, I'm sorry. What is the government? What is their explanation? Why?
Well, the idea in the first place was to ease the integration or reconciliation between these children, to kind of bring them together. Because what happened is that, of course, there was a lot of fear after the war among parents that another conflict might happen, and there's a lot of stereotyping and a lot of trauma that people are carrying. So it made sense that parents were afraid to send children in mixed schools. And then these random, terrible schools started popping up that were actually not schools, but, for example, like children of ethnically unified population would go together to a restaurant, for example, and then they would have some classes. Or they would travel 2 hours to another city where there's people of their ethnicity, and travel, back and forth to their houses. So, and then in the end, of course, that resulted in, it was not a very good solution. So our government had this idea to send the children to the same school, but to separate them so that there is no kind of fear. And the idea was that this is just a temporary solution. And it kind of solidified, and it's still existing. And now it's unfortunately seems to be stronger than ever, because not many people are actually talking about it as much, and therefore there is no attention of the international community brought to this. And I am very strongly against these kinds of systems everywhere, and especially in my country, because it is definitely not helping. There are more and more political tensions every day, and I think the education is pretty much the basis for peace. And when the educational system is built in a very wrong way to be hateful and discriminatory, it can only nourish fear additionally, and more trauma and more stereotyping, and that finally always results actually in some kind of a conflict. and misunderstanding. Yeah.
I'm so curious what they say to the kids, to people, why they are separating. What what they are explaining, what can happen. I understand the parents, they know the war, but what the kids hear from the teachers, why it's separation.
Yeah, because I mean, this gotta hit hard on the kids. I mean,
Well, it's one of the reasons why I started my work way back in Bosnia to actually work more on peace building and on tolerance and especially interfaith dialogue, because it's unavoidable to know what happened during the war. But unfortunately, there is too many truths out there and too many wrong information at the same time. And the system is created in a way, and media is unfortunately supporting that quite a lot, that it's constantly in the minds of people that there is some kind of ethnic-based differences and religious-based differences that are good enough to create a conflict. So as I was growing up, I was continuously exposed to the war stories, to images of it, to different kinds of truths, and everyone is hurt and everyone has some kind of trauma. That, I mean, no one leaves the war being traumatized about it, and I'm sure that those children, like children in every other school, in every other city in Bosnia, they know what was going on and what was happening, and they do have their families. Probably most of them survived or have experienced with that war, and of course that they know something. But what is the biggest problem with these schools is that even in the school they go and have different history classes, different language classes, different religious classes as well. So they are not exposed to each other's stories as much as maybe we are in the rest of the country. So you don't hear other sides, you don't hear other truths, and you don't have opportunity to accept that. You just hear one side of the story, I guess, which is definitely not okay.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm sure that they are aware of that. And I know that quite a lot of children and parents, as I said, are aware of that, because they were allowed against the system, but sometimes that's the only option in your city, to send a child to that high school or that primary school because it's the closest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge issue, and yeah, there is a lot of things to do related to that.
But I would say, if I may just add,
of course.
I feel the energy. Of course, I mean, it's a very devastating topic, and it's something to think about. But I really believe that there is a possibility to do something, mainly because it's breaking quite a lot of conventions of human rights and children's rights, and but also because there is an opportunity. And although these schools are not mixing children and their professors are maybe not shared and they have different curriculum, the system is created in a way that most of these schools, not all of them, but most of them, allow third parties to enter the schools and work with the children at the same time. So, for example, if I come with my nonprofit and we want to do something, to bring children together, to talk about these differences, I don't know, do any kinds of activities, artistic, sports activities, anything, we can do that. So, unfortunately, as I said, there is not many people bringing attention to this right now. And it's a little bit difficult. It's quite challenging because of the whole organization and the structure in the country and the ministries of different kinds that are overarching these schools. So it takes a little bit of an effort to do it, but it is possible. And this is why I want to do something regarding this. And I know a bunch of people who are super happy to work on this. And actually very passionate and trying to find ways what is the best way to approach, because it takes, and I think Darina is much better to talk about this aspect, but to actually recreate the minds to help people overcome these kinds of fears and be more open to change and to change the mindsets, to experience new things, and quite frankly to accept their part in what they have created with this system, and maybe to try to change something. So I'm sure that there is a very good opportunity for that, and I'm actually very optimistic about it.
Darina, what do you say? Do you have any words about this? Have you experienced something like this in any school?
A little bit, not experience, but I was doing my what it's called, the work on when I was studying in university, and I'm in South Africa, and we went to a house with one guy who was sitting in the jail with Nelson Mandela. We was talking about the apartheid, all the separation and what he thought. And we asked him one thing, that's if he hate white people after what they did, everything. And he said the hate will never bring any good things. And then what I was thinking, like Amina said, the schools, if we focus on problems, who is the fault? Like you said, they know only their own truth, like the truth that's the teacher saying in this one part, and another part no, another truth. It will never work if we try to find who is whose fault is it. So I was thinking here could be really good to focus on solutions, communication. That's to find out what each part is good at. Find a strong, how do you say, what they are, the success in each part, what they do good, what they have a common, and focus on each small success in every part, so they can see how much they have common in these good things, not the problems. Because if we focus on problems, behind each problems you will find another problems, and if you focus on problems, you always try to find somebody to blame. That's why the conflicts always start. If you look in an organization, in working place, in a war, it's always to find somebody to blame. Whose fault is it? So if you change it and you focus on solutions, if you change it on this to listen what we are good at and focus on that, it can help to bring the parts together. Because each children and parents and teachers, they are good in a lot of things. And when you focus on success, when you focus on things, when you change the problem and you focus on solution, what we want instead of what we don't want, because many times whole society is focusing 80% of what you don't want and 20% on success. If you change it and you focus 80% of your success and joy and appreciation and caring, and you put 80% on that, and then you have 20% of problems, criticism, and obstacles.
Yeah.
So can a big change happen both in both places?
Yeah. It's a big problem, as I said earlier, and. If we go, Amina, if we go back to you again, you also work for a foundation called SANCHILD. So I think that all listeners out there are interested in what kind of a foundation it is, if you can enlighten us, and what kind of work do you do there?
So I work as communication manager currently in this nonprofit. That is the organization that was founded by actually one Bosnian refugee who lives in Switzerland, and after her life of memories and experiences, she returned to Bosnia, I think 2013. so around 10 years after the war, and she started working mainly with children to create a little bit of a positivity. And as I mentioned earlier, when you're growing up, it's quite a lot of negative topics that you're continuously listening about in your houses, in the media, in the schools, etc. So she wanted to create a little bit of a positive energy. And in 2017, I was helping with the organization of one project called From Inner to Outer Peace. And then we had this big idea that we need our local professionals to help us do the work of changing these mindset in a positive way. And just as Darina was beautifully explaining, focusing on the positive things, on what brings us together, on what's making us human and connected to each other is actually the basis of our work. So currently what we are doing, we have 3 branches in Sweden, Switzerland, and in Bosnia, and we are a little bit expanding our work from the Bosnian community into hopefully France and Switzerland and Sweden, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, and we want to actually work on the current issues in the local communities, whether they be connected to the ethnic, religious, or any kinds of differences that are making people more separated, or whether it be based on the active conflict or even the integration of refugees in the new societies due to these continuous, unfortunately, refugee crisis. So we are doing actually very impressive work, especially with the help of the Rotary International. We are implementing one very large platform that is called Harmony platform. And pretty much we are doing what we wanted to do for 5 years now, and that is actually to train the local professionals to focus on the both inner and outer peace and conflict resolution, and really increase their capacities, provide different kinds of opportunities, whether it be financial or management or any kind of support, the network, to do the work with the children in schools. So, for example, last year in Bosnia, we have implemented 18 projects in 6 months. And all of them were focusing on very, very important topics such as human trafficking, kidnapping, human rights, these kinds of conflict resolution, and bringing children from different parts of the Bosnia together to work. So, yeah, this is pretty much what we are doing right now.
Yeah. Oh, it's a very great job that you are doing. Absolutely. I think that people should open up their eyes more to these kind of questions, in the world. It is very important. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, for example, my professional background is in medical sciences, medical research. But I say always that my hobby is humanitarian work, and that kind of just naturally turned into another job and another approach. Yeah. Because whatever we do, we always have this responsibility to help our closest community at first. So that could be, the closest family, community in our building, in our local surroundings. It can be in the country. It can be somewhere where we feel the calling. And I really believe that each one of us really has the ability to help in a different way, whatever we do, whether it be engineering, medicine, journalism, arts, whatever. We can do a good work. And I really think it's much needed. I would always say more needed than ever, but it seems like eternal phrase, unfortunately. Yeah.
Understand. Darina.
Yeah.
Go to Darina. You have worked to make leaders be good at their job, right?
Mm.
How did you come up with it at all? I mean, what made you start with doing that? If you can shed a light to the listeners about that.
It was a little bit like Amina tell, it's about your mindset. And I was working as a teacher in preschool for many years, and I did great job with the kids. They fantastic. They was independent already from 2-year-old, and then they went home for a holiday or a weekend, and they came back like whole different. So I was like thinking, what's the issues? And then I figure out that I can focus on kids, but it's important to focus on grown up because we are their role models. And for many pupils, parents, and then the teachers, the most important person in their lives. And if you think many times teachers spend more time with the kids than parents, and they have a big influence on the kids. So, and the teachers are leaders, as parents also are leaders for their kids with the teachers. So I figure out that if I want to help the kids to be strong, confident, and happy, I have to start with grown up. And then what I always say, like confident grown up, happy grown up, strong can build a strong, happy, and confident child. Because the kids, when they're born, they don't have any limiting beliefs. They think everything they think about the abundance. They have no boundaries. They have no problems. You know, when I saw the kids 2-year-old, they don't see this is the person with a different ethnicity or this is the person who is different than me. You know, they accept. But then they grown up and they get a lot of ideas from parents, from society, who is good, who is not. You know, and if we want to change it, we have to start shifting our minds with us grown up, because we have a lot of limiting beliefs. We have a lot of thinking how the things supposed to be. You know, we hear our truth, or we look through our glasses and see only our truth, and we don't think. Many times we don't think that somebody else can see something else. I met, when I coach a lot of people, they think like everybody thinks like them. But we are so different. We have different experience. We have different values. So we see things from different part. So if we, and this what Amina said, they have a focus for teachers to educate them so they can later do the big, amazing change with the kids' mindset, or to make them confident. And that's why it means that I have to start with leaders first. They have to be confident, but strong and happy. So I saw many teachers who are like so burned out now. The teachers, schools and preschool, they are so many sick leaves.
Yeah.
It is a psychological, what it's called?
Psychological issues. Or...
issues. Like problems, because they don't know how to behave, how to take all the changes, and the world it's changing fast, and our brain it's not prepared. We have a lot of mindset to fight or flight, like we did 1,000 years ago when we was chasing by lions. But now it's nobody chasing us, but we behave the same. Oh, we look for the dangers. Should I fight or fly? But there is no dangers. We may put the seatbelts, but to protect ourselves. But there is no lion waiting for us to eating us. So it's so we have to start there, and it starts with individual or society levels. Also, it's not only with one person. It's in both. Like it should be the both way.
Yeah. Yeah, there are many sick leaves, and my first question that pops up on my mind is, why do you think it is like that? What makes you think it is like that? Like, do you have a view on why it is like that? Why is it like that? Do you know why, or
the sick leave?
Yeah, the sick leaves. Because you read the news and you hear on the radio and on TV and so on that teachers are getting burned out, like you said, and that many are getting sick leaves. And why is it like that? Like, because there is discussions today where you bring up that it has to do with how society has changed during the years. Can that be the reason, you think?
It can be, but now when I was a lot of it about communication and leaderships, it's they came up with the idea that it's have to be bigger focus on self leadership, because there was a lot of focus on leadership, but it's hard to lead others when you cannot lead yourself. And what I saw, I worked with many teachers during my years as a principal, and 90% of teachers, they felt like they are not worthy, they have no values, they're not good enough. And this is all the things what we get from when we was young. And when it's getting more and more expectation from you, you know, when you don't feel you are good enough, so you're going to work with it. Oh, I have to document it. I have to be with the kids. It will be less teachers, you know. And you put all the focus on problems. But there is the boss problems because we don't have enough teachers, you know. I work with teachers. There was like, oh, we don't have, like, we were 5 staffs and there was 3 sick. We was 2, but they didn't look at that we have less children, you know. But they had in the mind that it's the problems, and when you have a problem focus, you know, you don't see all the success, and teachers are stressing themselves of, like, I have to do a lot of things. That we had a great discussion in school now when I was studying about that skolverket. I don't know what's the English.
Skolverket in Sweden.
Oh, they have a curriculum, but they write it everywhere. The curriculum, it's only like guidance, but a lot of teachers wants to go 100% what they write, you know. They follow like word to word, but it doesn't need to be. They do extra work for themselves many times. So a lot of it's about the self leadership, and now it's also in leadership courses. They starting to put more mindfulness, you know. Don't stress what's going to happen in a half year, or don't go to work and think that maybe next week there will be a lot of people sick, and try to get relaxed. A lot of teachers, what I was meeting, they don't take a break. They don't do like things for what is good for them, for their health. And it's also the evil circle, or the bad circle. That's when you don't have energy, you have a mirror nervous. So you leak what you feel, and you influence others. So I always could say, if I come to group with the kids, I can see in the group how I feel when they are like out and crazy. So there's a lot of like problems in the grown up. So when the kids are calm, so it's usually the good environment. So you can, it's like you said, tell me who you spend time with, and I will tell you who you are. So it's a little bit about that. We should really think about how we are, because start with us.
Just a short notice there on that matter. You said Skolverket. I found it here. The Swedish National Agency for Education. It is a central administrative authority for the public school system, publicly organized preschooling, school age, childcare, and for adult education. So this is based. This is in Sweden. So for our listeners out there, so they know about it. Have you experienced any? Have you from time to time experienced like any setbacks when trying to build these strong leaders? Like, have you felt like that it is a hopeless case sometimes?
It will always be if you don't want to change, if you don't think you are responsible for your life. Because I met a lot of people who are feeling like the life is happening to them, and they have, Dweck, the professor, wrote about the growth mindset and a static mindset. And if you have a static mindset, things happen to you and you have no possibility to change, it's like that, and you are born like that, so it will not happen. So you have to first to change people's mindset to the growth mindset, that I am responsible for my life and make a changes. And when I make a change, so I can influence others. So it's quite good work when the people do it. But what do you think, Amina, about that?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that while you were talking, how it's important to now enter the schools and start working on the mindset of people and listening to teachers, of both teachers and students, what they need. It's actually very interesting because only recently, like a few years ago, we started thinking about the workers and their well-being at work, and giving, 1 hour off so they can go and do some workouts for physical health, and then for the mental health, and maybe even flexible hours. And this is changing in the industry. But in schools, we are still so much focused on the results, and teachers are focused on their results. Therefore, they have a very specific structure and curriculum to work so that they can deliver. And students are focused on their results so they can go into the high school, into the college. And I think, it's getting very early this sense of the personal well-being, and the community well-being in general is getting lost. And it's so important to kind of address that as soon as possible. And I think it's a very beautiful approach to start working with the teachers and teach them how to listen to children and their needs. Because not everything is actually about results. And we all know that stress is affecting the memory. So if everyone is coming in a very stressful environment, no one is benefiting from it enough.
Yeah.
So the main factor of it all, it is stress, you can say. Or no?
Yeah, it could be.
It could be, but it's also individually. So you have to look at yourself as well.
Yeah, but stress doesn't necessarily have to be cause of all of that. It can be also a result, as Darina said. It also comes from the way that you are learning and that you are building yourself. And very poorly thinking about oneself can result in a lot of stress for your own self and for the others, in a way.
I think the stress is not dangerous if it's not for a long time and if you can manage it. But many times people doesn't relax, they going on and on and on, and that they get sick. So stress is not the biggest issues, but this what kind of thoughts, what kind of feelings people have to shoot what I have to do, who I am. If you're going to work and feel like nobody like you and you are not good enough, and your boss will complain and the parents will be complaining, and you are coming scared like how the day will go, of course you will be stressed, because you already is coming with a mindset that whole day will be dangerous, or like, oh, you don't have a lot of help, you don't have any assistant, and the kids have a lot of needs. Instead, like thinking like what I can have with the day, that's it will be good for all kids, But that's the biggest issues in schools. You have the curriculum, you want to give them so much information, but the focus is like how the well-being, like the kids, like you said really good the things that stress is influence your memory. So if the kids are stressed, and they don't feel comfortable in the group, and they have problems to work with they have not good relationship with teachers or with other children. So it doesn't matter what I'm telling them for 45 minutes, they will remember 5%.
Yeah.
And then they feel stressed because they will have a bad grade, and that's the parents will be complaining, and then it will go on. So it's like, I like this solutions focus. I'm educated by Ben Furman. He's a Finnish psychiatrist, and he's working in the schools and with kids. That's 80% focus on success. And I work with a lot of kids who was like, well, what is the name? When they are aggressive, when they are like hating everybody and making a lot of fights and I start to focus on what they want to do in their lives, what is their dreams. And they was only 7, 8, but working on the kids' dreams, when you give them appreciation, when you teach them to enjoy the life and enjoy the others, there will be less and less hate and more happiness, and the changes will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the topic stress is discussed a lot in society, and for example, in schools where you take your driving lessons, they also say that there is different ways of stress. Like there is good stress, and then there is bad stress. Like if you feel that while you are sitting on the wheel and you're going to drive the car, that you are shaking all the time, then then you should not sit on the wheel, for example. Like, so I don't know, can it be something, you think it can be like there is something like that, good stress, bad stress?
Yeah, of course. The stress is good when you can manage it, but then you have to, it's coming to the self-leadership, because I stress every day, but I have tools how I can calm myself down. What should I do when I feel like, now I'm shaking? I work with the kids with autism and ADHD who has big problems and issues, and if I get stressed when they are stressed, it will not help. So I need to calm down. I need to get a state of mind that is not stressing, and then I can help them. But then I need to do it with myself. I can tell them like, calm down, and I'm shaking and my voice is high, and I'm like, when you measure my heartbeat, it's like 150.
Oh yeah.
And
that's not good.
No, this is what happening in school. Teacher is angry, screaming at the kids and yelling that they should calm down. You should calm down first, talk, and change your state of mind, and then the change will happen. But then you need to practice. It's a mental training, and it's as a physical training, it's your daily training. But if you don't know what you're supposed to train, how you can train it? And they don't teach us in schools, in university. They don't teach teachers to be. Now it's getting a little bit there. I like it, because when I was studying the leaderships, they was teaching us about the mindfulness, how important it's to work with your state of mind when you have important meetings, when you're going to meet the teachers or the kids. So it's getting there, but it's not yet there so much it's supposed to be.
Slowly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The way the teacher respond to the children, the pupils, and so can it have to do something with how the principal is, how the bosses are also? Because sometimes the main factor can be that there are bad conditions on the school, and that the teachers, they don't get their voices heard. And of course, it is not an excuse to treat the pupils and children, to treat them badly. It is definitely not an excuse. But I mean, have you ever met principals or bosses that are like that you can't really reach out to? And this question is pointed to Darina.
Yeah, of course, it's a lot of the principle with the static mindset. But we're coming back to you, because there is only situation, and it's up to you if you put it positive or negative. Mm-hmm. You have no right to be angry at kids, only because your boss is not good or you don't have a good condition,
Of course.
So, and that's we coming back. I'm always coming back to the self-leadership. It's not the easiest way, but it's the most important. I like to follow Nick Vujicic. That is the guy who has no legs and no hands. And he was here in Stockholm and he was talking there and jumping on the table. And he said he could be grumpy. He could hate the world because he has no legs and no arms. But he chose to not. And he lives happily live with the 3 kids, traveling, parachuting, diving, playing golf, more than people who has the legs. So it's really about our mindset. And that's the things, because usually it's to finding excuses. I'm angry because of my husband, because of my boss, because of the kids who are not listening to me. You're always trying to find somebody to blame, and we're coming back to it's really hard to like accept it, but when you do it, when you start to like take responsibility for your state of mind and for that what you do, it's changing a lot. I had a lot of that coming to me that they want to have a better conflict resolution. They want to have a strategy how to talk to colleagues. So I always work with them and their self-leadership without giving them strategy how to communicate. And they coming in 3-4 weeks and saying that it's much calmer around them. There is not so many conflicts. And they don't get any strategy how to, but they change their mindset, their way to look at the things, and the things around you change.
It's all about the mindset.
Yeah. I completely agree with Darina with this. Yeah.
It is such a huge question. The topic school system, there is a lot to talk about. The education system, the system itself, can it be a factor if these children, if they don't get any good grades, or if they don't get treated the right way and they don't get the education that they need and that they deserve? Can it be a factor, like, for it to all turn out in a bad situation? This question is pointed to you, Darina.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It can have a.
Did you understand my question?
Yeah. I'm thinking this, what is happening also, it's I was reading research that it's more and more kids in between 12 and 16 getting depressed and are going in a big depression. And it's all about the grade and everything, because we are expecting them to be strong, be confident, but we don't teach them how. So they see, you have the social media, they see a lot of great things and they are like comparing themselves, like, oh, she has better life, but nobody is putting a video how the lives suck or how they don't feel good.
That's the behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly. And they don't know it. And, you see 5-4-year-old who watching movies and videos that is, it's many times scary, and they don't get to work with their mind. So it's hard for them to then accept it. So it will influence. So that's why I really work hard on this, to go to schools and start with the teachers, to teach them to be with this working with mindset, to bring it to kids and teach them, and then the kids can teach the parents.
Because that is my next question. Have you ever experienced that the problem is neither the teachers or the staff or the principals or the school in general, that it is only the parents? Like, have you ever had a situation where you've experienced that?
I don't think it's only parents, only teachers, only schools. I think it's a whole complete, like, whole society.
Yeah.
It's we feel it's you can see it now with the corona, with the wars and everything. People feel everyday wars. More people are burnt out, depressed, and they don't know how to do it. You know, my mentor, Lars-Erik Gunestål, he says, like, many times people get sick leave, like stay home, and they staying in the bed for 12, 13 hours, but they don't get really, really relaxed to learn how to calm down their mind and their thoughts and the stress. And they are surprised that they are not feeling better, because it's not about you staying in the bed. You have to learn how to calm your mind, you know, how to quiet your thoughts, how to get the state of mind that is helping you, how to see your needs. So it's not teachers, not schools, not parents. I think it's the whole situation, whole society. What do you think, Amina? Now I'm talking to.
No, it's beautiful actually to listen. Yeah, well, actually, as I'm not really from the field, I guess you have a little bit more experience with working with teachers. But I do agree that sometimes the way that the system is created on multiple levels, not only the educational system, but it's usually to kind of give the results, and it's old. Although, like in every country, it is a little bit different. It's still much older and it needs some modernization. And I think that we really need to think how to make even especially educational system more personalized, to listen to students, because not everyone is in the same way. And now I'm getting back to your question, Joseph, like, can it be actually a cause of poor results among students? Because we treat, let's say if you have a class of 30 students, not all of them are the same. Not all of them can have attention span of 1 hour or how long the classes are. For example, in Sweden, in Bosnia is 45 minutes. Then you have different interests. And in the same way, you are assessing every type of class, whether it be geography or history or language or arts. You have the same grading system, you have the same type of classes in classrooms, and this is definitely not the way I believe it works. And I know that recently, as I graduated from university, there is these classes that are now built where you learn at home, and then you come to a class and only discuss the certain questions, or you have a critical thinking about the issue or the topic. And I think this is a perfect way to learn, because then it pushes you to actually apply that knowledge, and pushes the system to prepare you to what is it out there. And then you learn at your own pace and in the way that you like and you prefer, whether it be with the visual material or just the book or whatever. And I think this is one of the ways how it can be addressed and how it is actually affecting the society in general.
Mm-hmm. Because the reason why I brought that question up is the news is all over the place with this, that, oh, it's the parents' fault or it's the teacher's fault. You know, everything is so one-sided when you read or hear something. Like, you can question if the news are really a good source to things sometimes. Like, can that be an issue also, that this journalism, that some people express their mind way too freely sometimes? Like, can that be a problem as well? And this question is pointed to both of you, so you can both answer it. So if we begin with Amina, what do you think?
Can you repeat the question, or if I understood correctly, if people sometimes too freely talk?
If people sometimes express their minds, we're talking about the journalism, because when you read the news and when you hear news, everything is so one-sided from time to time. So if there are people in the journalistic field who express their minds way too freely, in a debate or something like that, that can be the root of the problem of how it turns out in society.
Well, the words really do have the power, and I think it's it should be everyone's responsibility how they bring out the thoughts. I really think that journalism and everything that is out there should be free, because we should have the freedom of speech and freedom of hearing, an opportunity to hear different perspectives and different words. I think it's everyone's responsibility. How are they going to deliver that? And let's say if it's a debate and if it's on the TV, there should be certain kind of language that is used and certain kind of intention put behind those words. I am not a fan, and I definitely am completely against of any form of hate speech and anything that can be of a separatist or insulting or against any kinds of human rights. So the language, as I said, should be everyone's responsibility, and the form. But I think that there should not be any taboo topics and anything too freely to be discussed because every population, every level in the society, we all should hear about everything more transparently, so that we can form opinions and know what is out there, and that there is nothing in the background, as we were mentioning before. Yeah.
But if these expressions on the news, if the main reason is to brainwash and to make people think one-sided thoughts, what is your take on that?
Well, I think that the perfect solution would be that everything that is said, that it's always challenged. But I think that is a little bit too difficult to do. But it would not be nice to kind of, again, put some kind of censorship to one type of thoughts or one type of expression. I think what is good today is that everything that it's out there is pretty much continuously accessible through internet, and it's we can always come back to it and challenge it with different views and different opinions, which is very, very good and important. And as I said, we should be all more mindful what it is out there, and there is always certain types of media that it's out there that is already labeled to give, for example, wrong information or some form of hate speech or one-sided stories, or that it's bought by, I don't know, political party or whatever. And this is something that information is already accessible. So I think it's also a responsibility of the listeners to decide what it's true and what's not, and to protect their children, for example, or not really protect them from the information, but more to teach them how to be more of a critical thinkers and to separate what is right from wrong and what already has some red flags in what is said.
You said good things about this. Now it's so important to teach not only parents but the teachers critical thinking. That's not all information you hear, it's the truth. Yeah, and you should always see it from the different side.
Right. No, I always mention. I always say I'm a critical thinker when it comes to me, because not everything has to be true in the world. So it all depends on how you look. And as you mentioned, Amina, you mentioned that you can look it up on the internet. That is like also a generation thing. Like some people of some ages, they don't have that luck to find these things on the internet, because maybe they are only hearing it on the radio, or they are hearing it on TV, or so I don't know, like it can be like you divide people somehow. What is your take on that? And then I will get to you, Darina. So if you have something to say about that.
Yeah, I do understand. Well, I guess I haven't been really for quite a long time. That's a good point. I haven't been exposed to people who don't have access to mass media in a way.
Yeah.
So I maybe forgot that aspect of it. But at least, I don't know. I guess it's always up to a personal thing. I don't think that we can really put a mute on people who have the ability to come to, I don't know, radio or TV or anywhere and actually speak their mind up. I think that is important, and to some extent it is more dangerous than it is to actually listen and to be able to speak out. I think it's more dangerous not to be able to do that. So
think before you speak.
Yeah, I would definitely, and also think after you listen.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of a general way to combine it, because I really think that freedom of speech is very, very important.
So Darina, what is your take on what's been said?
No, I agree. We don't need to speak more about that. Amina said it too, quite like I was thinking.
Yeah. That's good. Well, time is running out, and I would like to thank you, Amina and Darina, for being here. It's been a pleasure having you here, and thank you for taking your time.
Thank you that we could be here.
Yeah. So we will probably catch up on some social gathering or so. So at the meantime, take care and have a good day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us. It was my pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a huge topic to like, we can sit and talk about it for hours, but unfortunately the time is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but take care, and we will probably see each other in some social gathering somehow. So have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Darina Schartman and Amina Agović, everyone. Thank you for listening to the podcast Society and Stuff with Joseph Eisman. Very interesting topic that was discussed today about the school system. So I will be making a new poll for some topics that you can find that is interesting, so you can vote for those topics. If you don't find any topics that are interesting, you can answer the question on which topic you think that I should bring up the next time, and I will make a voting for the topic. At the meantime, stay safe, take care, bye.